Welcome back, everybody, to another Wednesday night live show with the League of Inches crew and Isaac to start off once again. You're not seeing things. Jake hasn't transformed himself into Isaac. No Jake tonight. We are Jakeless. So you'll just get, once Isaac does go, you'll just get myself and Trav. I begged our producer, Tanya, who is behind the scenes, to just come on, say hello and rip in with us, but apparently our mic's decided not to work tonight, so it's very convenient timing for that. But plenty to discuss tonight. It's a big show. It's a huge show.
Really 1 minute, Isaac.
Really keen to rip in. Thank you to Caxton Street Brewing Company, our major sponsor as well. Again, guys, make sure if you're around the Brisbane area any day of the week, in particular game days, make sure you go in there, have a couple of drinks, get a bite to eat. You'll probably see us around there at some point as well in the near future. Let's rip and tear straight away. Again, shout out to Isaac. Mate, I had a quick look at your page before. You are flying at the moment. Everyone is just getting onto you. I'd like to take some credit for that. Obviously, getting on here, getting on the platform, but we can't, obviously, just your pure good work. So fantastic with that. You're absolutely flying. But you got a few bits of interesting news for us regarding the Dragons and the Canberra Raiders.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and not to understate it, coming on here has been awesome. Being able to kind of chat about what's going on in the rugby league universe, and even bringing on a few exclusives on here has really been really cool. So no, I can't thank you guys again for always having me on. And look, I'm keen to kind of continue this on into the future. Okay, sweet. Yeah, so we got quite a bit to get into in regards to the Raiders and the Dragons. Now, there has now been reports of a potential player swap on the cards for the Dragons and the Raiders. So we're looking at the moment at Trey Mooney and Chevy Stewart from the Raiders potentially on their way out of the club. And that has opened the door up for a potential switch with the Dragons. Now, supposedly the Canberra Raiders are looking at Sione Finau and a Tyrell Sloan as well from the Dragons. So that has kind of opened the door up for them to potentially make that swap. Now, there were talks last week that Finau did a tour of the Raiders facilities, which had inevitably leaked to the media, as a lot of stuff tends to. And the Raiders weren't too happy about that, but it looks like they are willing to look past it in a potential swap for either Trey Mooney or Stewart to head over to St. George. Now, there are also reports that Newcastle Knights may be interested in bringing over a Trey Mooney, much to the dismay of a lot of Raiders fans. A lot of Raiders fans are really keen on keeping Mooney in particular. And with, Chevy Stewart, obviously the backup fullback for the Raiders, not getting a lot of game time behind KO Weeks. It looks like a move out of the club is imminent. Now, both are under contract next year. But look, with neither kind of getting a lot of opportunity, with Josh Papali'i potentially staying for another year, and KO Weeks looking like he's on his way out, the Raiders are looking to potentially make that swap. Now, I just saw a comment about why do the Raiders need outside backs, and it's a real question mark for myself, because they do have a plethora of outside backs kind of waiting in the ranks at the moment. But it looks like they've identified Tyrell Sloan and Sione Finau to come to the club. So two-headed horse here. We're looking at both sides of this from the Raiders standpoint and the Dragons standpoint. But yeah, a lot of question marks kind of around that at the moment, but it looks like a deal could be done in the next kind of few weeks.
I've got to come clean quickly because I've broken out almost in laughter a couple of times. First of all, your internet's not doing you a great service tonight because it makes you sound like you have a lisp tonight. But you're all good. Like, we can hear you clearly. You just feel like you've been to the dentist, had about 4 teeth pulled out, and you got a mad lisp going on, which is quite humorous at times. But I'm trying to take it as seriously as I possibly can. Just before I go on to make a comment about what you're speaking about, just some breaking news I've just seen on social media while I was just trying to quickly share this to some other groups. Brendan Hands from the Parramatta Eels has been granted an immediate release. Okay. Just for the rest of this year. He will be back to the club next year. He's gone to Toulouse, is it Toulouse Olympic? I don't know that too well, that team, or how to pronounce that one. I've probably absolutely butchered it. But yes, probably for a month or two, and then he'll be back at the club. So bit odd, but
where is that?
It is what it is. I've got no idea. I'm guessing that's probably like a French league club. So.
Yeah. So actually touching on that, just obviously we're talking about the Raiders and the Dragons, but since we can quickly kind of segue into that, there has been a lot of talk behind the scenes about a move. Now, I wasn't aware that it was going to be a loan deal. I was expecting him to be released from his contract completely with obviously Riley Smith and Talon De Silva at the club, but that has been in the works for quite a few weeks now. Interesting that it's now come to fruition, as a loan deal. I wasn't expecting that. It sounded like the Dragons, the Catalans Dragons, were also interested in his services at one point. Now, look, that could potentially come to fruition next year. But yeah, real interesting one there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joel. Can I just jump in? I just want a clarification because I just heard it and it maybe heard what you said. But Isaac, you just said before about weeks, and you said that it looks like he's on the way out. But did I not read that he's just re-signed?
Oh, sorry, no. Chevy Stewart on his way out, not KO Weeks.
Oh, okay. I either misheard you or just didn't hear it. But yeah,
it might be the imaginary list that's coming.
My bad. Because I was like, hang on a second, is he going? No. What have I missed?
Not KO Weeks. KO Weeks is locked into the Raiders.
Yeah.
Hey, it's not imaginary. When you go back to listen to this, you'll know what we're talking about. So
I reckon it's cute, Isaac. I like it.
It's good. I like it though. It's just to let everyone know, any new listeners, he doesn't have the list.
Yeah, let's clarify. There is no list on
just sort of going back to the Chevy Stewart one, because I find that really interesting at the moment, because he was touted. I remember beginning of last year, from a Supercoach point of view, me and Jesse had a couple of conversations before Trav jumped on board about just how key he could have been last year for the Raiders, and he was the next guy up. And obviously KOX has come on in leaps and bounds and is now being touted as a future Origin player, just how quick his rise has been. So I understand that. But I tell you what, the club that gets Chevy Stewart, I actually feel like it's worth a chance and worth giving him a couple of year contract to see how he continues to develop. Because granted, so far his chances in NRL have been limited, but haven't been great. Like, he hasn't set the world on fire, but at the same time, he's super young. And if there's a couple of clubs out there that come to mind that could do with someone a bit energetic, young, in around that back line sort of, I think it'd be a really good signing. Yeah,
absolutely. And exactly what you said, like, he was touted as the next great fullback in the competition. And look, they credit to the Raiders. They really, is this list really bad?
I read the comments as well. They said, try and say your name with the list.
I promise it's the internet. I've got no chip teeth, no.
Stop harassing him now, Joel. Leave him alone.
Sorry.
I'm keen to listen back to this now, because it's definitely not my voice.
It's brilliant. Let it
go. But the Cronulla Sharks and the Dragons are two clubs that have kind of identified him as a potential fullback option. Now, the Sharks don't have a fullback next year. They've got Will Kennedy most likely on his way out, and then the Dragons, they're eyeing Chevy Stewart as a long-term option for Clint Gutherson once he retires. So there are a couple options there. But yeah, look, Chevy Stewart was going to be one of the great fullbacks in the competition, and credit to the Raiders for giving KO Weeks the opportunity, because he's obviously blown way more than what we thought he would. But no, Chevy Stewart is a superstar in the making for sure.
Doesn't that scream Isaiah Yongi, right? Yeah, and KO Weeks. I'm not comparing KO Weeks to Dylan Edwards. You can't do that, not yet, anyways. But it just screams that, just sitting behind, doesn't have the opportunity. It's time to go, and he'll leave, and the Raiders will be like, "Oh man, we missed him, but we've got KO Weeks." It just screams that, and that's just the way that works. I would love to see him at the Dragons. How good would Chevy Stewart be under 12 months under watching and listening to the work ethic over Gutho and what he could do with that? And then just because we know he's got the talent, there's just got to be some mental things there that I think has not given him that opportunity. I would love to see that. I'm really surprised, Isaac, about Trey Mooney, because I reckon the coach freaking loves him, and I reckon the organization freaking loves him. They've signed him on to another deal, and he's played very small games. He hasn't played many yet. So there has to be something. Well, is it? Do you think it's more Trey Mooney saying, "I want an opportunity and I've got to get out, and here we go," or what? Because I know that club absolutely adores him.
Yeah, they're huge on Trey Mooney, and Raiders fans are huge on Trey Mooney. The thing with him, so he actually was keen to leave the club before the June 30 deadline. But the Raiders were like, no, just stay. You're going to get your opportunity. And then the whole plan for him was that, he was going to come in and be the replacement for Josh Papali'i, who was meant to be going over to the Super League next year. That has now kind of fallen to pieces. It looks like he's going to re-sign with the club in a crazy turn of events. And that's now leaving the door kind of shut for Trey Mooney to have any sort of impact as a big minute forward for the Raiders. So we've now got this opportunity for Trey Mooney to kind of become an impact forward at another club, and it looks like the Dragons are quite keen on potentially bringing him over. The Newcastle Knights are another club that are very interested in his services as well. So it's funny because a few days ago I posted, I got a message and I made, a report on Trey Mooney potentially going to the Knights, and the Raiders fans were saying there's no chance at all that he leaves. But look, they've essentially chosen Josh Papali'i for one more year, and you can't really blame him. He's a club legend. He's just played State of Origin. He's playing out of his skin at the moment. But look, yeah, it just unfortunately closed the door on Trey Mooney. At least for next year.
And go. Sorry, Joe.
I was just saying, if they can add him to the signing that they've made today, the Knights of Pasami Sulo, if I've got it right. Yeah, there are a couple of good sort of forwards that are probably asking and begging for a bit more of an opportunity, who have shown some promise in the past. So that could be some really nice signings by the Knights, who have been criticised, and rightly so, for I guess how they've been going and performing and signing in the retention and the recruitment department this year. So that could be some interesting decisions. I do want to quickly go, because I know we've got you for a limited time, just for the Dragons' point of view, though. Tyrell Sloan especially, I feel like it's a very interesting move. I actually feel, I've read a few of the pages, and I've read anytime the Dragons put things up, and the fans of theirs are sort of 50-50. More, it feels like actually want Sloan to stay, but I'm actually on the other side of the fence, where I actually think for Sloan's own good, it's time to leave that club and just to go somewhere fresh. I actually think if he can end up at the Raiders, I don't think he's a guaranteed starter there. To be honest with you, I actually don't think he'll start in the best 5 at that club, but I think that's what he needs. He needs to be pushed. He needs to go to somewhere like Ricky, who will show him the passion of rugby league and that club and how much they all love it, froth the game. And they're in a stage now where we talk dynasties and stuff. I won't go as far as declaring the Raiders are in one, but I'll tell you what, they're probably the club that's next in line when we talk about sides that can take over from Penrith. Like, they've got so many good young players that are now just starting to reach their potential and have got years to come. Like, if Sloan can go into that sort of team and be coached by someone like Ricky Stewart, I think that could do him a world of good and actually extend his career. Like, there'll be lots out there saying, "Oh, go to Super League and kill it over there," but I don't think that'll do much to him. I actually think he needs to go somewhere where he has to work and work hard, and have had 2 years where he ended up either deciding that I love this game and this is what I want to do, or it's sort of okay, then he can go and do whatever he needs to do. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, I think with Sloan, I think that the Dragons have gone to a point now, and I think that they should have gone to this point probably about 12 months ago. It's just not working out at the Dragons. They had this highly touted big 3 of Amon, they had Bud Sullivan, they had, Tyrell Sloan. It was this big 3 coming through the ranks. And he was kind of the last kind of standing of that trio. And unfortunately, he just hasn't kicked on. Now, he's got a world of talent, but he doesn't have it in him at the Dragons. And, I wouldn't put all the blame on him. A lot of players haven't had that at the Dragons in recent years. I don't love the Raiders move, only because as much as I think that he would work extremely hard, I don't think he fits in that backline. I don't think that anyone cracks that backline at the moment. I think I view Chevy Stewart as, a much with a lot more potential than a Tyrell Sloan. And even he's not cracking it. So look, I don't know where Tyrell Sloan fits in the NRL at the moment, but I don't want him to see him go to the Super League at the moment.
And anyone that can score 15 tries in 15 games, have 18 line breaks and 33 tackle breaks in a Dragons outfit on a wing out there, on the opposite side to where you've been playing to Val Holmes and Tuapoloto, although Tuapoloto's only played for 7 weeks, deserves a freaking spot on an NRL list and should be starting. Like, that's just incredible numbers. The dude's 23 years old still too. Like, it dumbfounds me how this is happening. And I get some of the talk, like, you know, he makes some dumb decisions and things like that. But I can tell you now, he isn't the worst one in the competition that makes some of those moves. And I've seen plenty worse. And the dude's still 23, but he also plays for the Dragons. So, like, it's like, it just blows my mind. This dude has got 15 tries in games they're like,
and they're not winning those games. They're not winning those games.
No.
They don't have a forward pack either to match. That's the thing. Their forward pack's still struggling. And outside backs, halves, the like, they can't do anything while your forward pack's getting bashed pretty much on a weekly basis. So
yet he's still putting up tries.
Exactly.
Before we let you go, just got a quick question for you off the cuff. Actually, it is a topic we'll be talking about a bit later on in the show. So I'm hoping to get a little bit of word from yourself, Jayden Campbell. There has been a bit of talk around him in this week that we will touch on shortly, but is there actually any truth to any of the whispers we are hearing that he could potentially be getting shopped to clubs in the not too distant future?
Look, nothing solid at the moment, at least that I'm hearing on Jayden Campbell. Now, there has been talks about potentially the Parramatta Eels and him, you know, making his way there. But I do know that the Titans are huge on Jayden Campbell, just as they are on an AJ Brimson and the like. But if you're asking for my opinion, I think that if you're choosing between, a Brimson and a Campbell, I think you pick a Campbell. I really like Jayden Campbell for the Titans, and I think he's someone that has superstar potential. And I say superstar potential knowing that I have this lisp going on at the moment. That worked out perfectly. But
we're trying to hold it in.
Steer away from the S words. But no, I genuinely think that he could be, you know, something great in this league. And I think that the Titans know that as well. But look, if you're asking me about, you know, potential whispers about where he could be going, I have been hearing the Eels a lot. But I think that the Eels at the moment have identified Joash Papali'i as their sixth. And if they are going to move in another direction, it's going to be for, you know, an already kind of cemented 5'8" in this competition who's a star. So I haven't heard anything super solid on it lately. The most I've heard is kind of whispers on the Eels, and then again, I'm sure you guys are going to chat about it a little bit more in the show. But if you're getting my opinion, I do not think the Titans should be letting him go. And if I'm the Titans, I'd be letting AJ Brimson, David Fifita, guys like this leave before I'd be letting Campbell go.
Oh, they shouldn't even be questioned. I can't even believe that's even been mentioned. It's incredible. The dude's a freak. 3rd year, dude. Yeah. Anyways, blows my mind.
Well, I'll let you go, Isaac. Thank you very much. Go and get that list fixed up.
Yeah, I'm heading to the dentist now.
I got a speech therapist. I can give you the handle too.
I don't know if I'm too scared to watch this back now, but
it's not bad. I actually like it. To be fair, I'm gonna and I'm not even taking the piss, man. I like it. It's good.
Thank you guys so much for having me on as usual. And I will be back on next week and every other Wednesday after that. But thank you guys so much.
Legend.
No worries, mate. Go and save the world for us again for a week. So just get that list sorted before you go and talk to some of the big world leaders of our world. So, cheers, brother. Thank you. Go and give me a follow as well, guys. You too, mate. Bye-bye. Again, thank you a lot to Isaac. Now me and Trav can get absolutely stuck into the rest of this show, which is a belter. It started off so well, and we're going to just see how we go from there. Just quickly, before we get into it, obviously, we'll try and answer your questions on the go. I do see one from Cameron there about should the Knights have kept Brayley, considering how well Crosland is playing at 13. I'm just more so like talking on the Raiders vibe still, because obviously he did end up signing with the Raiders. Like they've still got Owen Paddy, they've got Tom Starling now as well, and now they're adding Brayley. So I thought it was a very odd signing to start with. I guess financially though, he's on a fair bit of money at the Knights. They wanted to free that up, so I think that's probably why. They also still have Matty Arthur coming up through the ranks there at the Knights, and I think he'll be having a great NRL career. So it's probably his time to shine next year with Crosland playing perhaps that 14 role. But let's get stuck into a few more of our segments tonight. So obviously our power up segment, I'm going to actually spring this one on Trav a little bit here because I've got something written down, but I actually want to get his hard hitting opinions first on something. So obviously thanks to Vitalman supplements again for our hard hitting segment, I should say. Trav, I want to get your opinion straight off the bat about Jack Wighton. Confirmed now 4-week suspension. You have been very critical of this. Everyone who called it the Sunday show, and then we somehow got into it last night on our Supercoach podcast. We just couldn't contain it. It was breaking news while we were on air, and we just got into it. So I'll let Trav take the floor now with our big power up segment. He's had a bit of supplements in him. You got yourself on mute. I'll just remind you about that before you come in ripping and tearing. Talk to us. What are your thoughts of confirmed now 4 weeks?
Oh, I don't know if I've got it in me to do a rip and tear. I thought I gave it a good spray on Sunday in our review show. I want to swear, but I'm not going to. It's a freaking disgusting call. I'm just appalled. I really am. I said on Sunday that this screams to me like it's the NRL trying to make trying to make amends for every bad call and every bad decision they've made over the last 4 to 5 weeks. And then, and have picked a moment where it's like, who's it not going to affect the worst? Oh, well, the Rabbitohs are on the bottom, so let's pick them. Oh, well, but it's mind blowing, man. I don't have the words for you again to give you this big spray that you're screaming out for. And I wish you had given me time, and I probably would have written something up and gone and done it. But no, I said it on Sunday. I think it's a disgrace. I think it's an absolute joke. I don't think it should have been suspended. There's been way worse hits and way worse problems in this competition over the last few weeks that have not even been sin-binned. Yet he got sin-binned and he's now been suspended 4 weeks. Granted, he copped the punishment because they stuck to their guns and got an extra week, so they got 3. They went in there because they had no opportunity to go any further, and they tried to downgrade it to 2. Like they had nothing because of record and all sorts of things. So the only thing they could fight for was a downgrade to 2, and he's ended up with 4. I just think this whole situation screams a joke. It's an absolute farce, and I'm really disappointed.
Yeah, I'm actually the one thing I wanted to touch on with it is that I'm just shocked at this point where you actually get criticized. Not criticized, but you get penalized for like an extra week with this sort of thing. Like that just doesn't sit quite well with me. I don't know if you agree with that, but I just don't know if you question it and you think that there's like not everyone questions. That's the thing. A lot of them just take the penalty and go from there. But if you do generally feel like there's grounds to question, I don't know if you should be getting an extra week. Like 4 weeks for what he did, I think is an extreme. So doesn't sit well with me.
So let's put it in comparison. How many weeks did Nas get?
I can't. You're the Storm, man.
He got 3. He got 3 for an elbow through his face.
Yeah, grub.
So he got exactly the same amount of weeks as what Nas got. Now, because he decided to contest it, because everyone in the NRL is sitting there saying, "What the freaking hell's going on? Why is this even a suspension?" They've gone and contested it, and off they went. I think the question really, from what you're saying, is why should they get an extra week? I agree. I don't think they do. But then you said it doesn't get contested every week. Well, it doesn't get contested every week because people don't want to play at the expense of an extra week. That's why. So. Like, I think if we knock that off, you'd probably get a hell of a lot more people contesting it, knowing what have we got to lose. But I agree. I don't like the extra. I don't like the extra week for it, particularly in a situation like this. I think this is a disgrace and it's a joke, and I'm very eager to see what happens in the next few weeks as the roll and effect of this. Like, does this now put a line in the sand and say, well, actually, we're going to, again, for like the umpteenth freaking time, change the way we're going to officiate and change the way we're going to do our disciplinary action outside of the game? Like, is that what is going to happen? Because if that happens, it's going to create a whole nother can of worms that we're all going to sit there and talk about. And I think that's a disgrace. Like, you can't, it's consistent. All we want is consistency. So if you're going to sin bin that and you're going to suspend that, suspend everything else. Like, don't pick that moment. It screams to me like it's, like I said to you before, it yells out to me that it's like, I've just lost words because I'm actually quite angry about it. And I don't know why, because it's Jack Whiten on the bottom of the ladder in the Rabbitohs. Like, it's not such a big deal, but it really just, it screams a bit of cheating. It screams a little bit of, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's probably not the right word, but there's something, and it'll come to me soon. But yeah, it's just, I don't like it. I really don't like it.
Moving away from there. There's a club at the moment on a bit of struggle street. The New Zealand Warriors. The WAS movement is Jake is too busy playing the Rugby League 26 game at the moment for sure. He claims he's sick, but go on the page. I bet he's live streaming at the moment. The Warriors are starting to be in a bit of a decline, being a bit of free fall, in my opinion. They've just lost a couple of really key players as well, which is going to really hurt them. And one of them is Fisher Harris. So they're starting front row is now out because Wade Egan's out for the week, as well as Mitch Barnett, obviously. So shocking sort of turn of events for the Warriors. They've still got a decent draw home. They should be able to scrape together a couple of wins, you'd think. So I'm not going to make any outlandish statements. But one thing that really has, and I've watched and read a few of the fans talking about it, and it's made me think more and more about it as well, is that some of the team selections at the moment are a bit puzzling. Why? Like the Kurt Capewell to centre, for instance, was sort of a stopgap solution at the time where they were depleted in the back line. Now they've got a couple of those boys back on deck, and they just can't get back into the team. And Kurt Capewell, like when he first was there, was playing some really good football. He's starting to fatigue a little bit, in my opinion, and he's starting to lose it slightly. I think could be good to go back to either the edge or coming off the bench for Kurt Capewell and shuffling things around, because I've noticed the last month or so as well, Chans and the Tuapiki debate has fired up again. And everyone knows by now, I've said it a number of times, I'm a huge Tane Tuapiki fan. I think he should be the fullback for the Warriors from now into the foreseeable future. I would not change him out of the one jersey. I would personally be putting Chance in at centre, and that's sort of the backline I'd be looking at for the Warriors moving forward into finals football. I think that's them the most dangerous. I think what Andrew Epps has probably been too over cautious at the moment. He's trying to look. It looks like from an outsider's point, he's protecting what they've got at the moment, which is a top 4 finish, instead of continuing to play a bit of football and going. Like, the Warriors are a very good attacking football side, and it just feels like with some of these selections, they've sort of gone away from that, where they've still got some of these attacking arsenal in their side. Let it happen. Let it flourish. Let them score a few points. And Trav, where are you at with it? It just feels like some of their selections as of late in the last couple of weeks, really safe options.
I've sort of been saying all along, I think I said this in the preview last year at the start of the year, that I think Tuapiki was their fullback, but I liked the idea, or was their long-term fullback, but I like the idea of putting CNK there as just a bit of experience and a go-to early stages, just because there was a change in the halves, Johnson retirement and things like that. I think CNK at the fullback was really important. But I love the call now, and I think it's time. Like CNK to the centres, Capewell to where he should be, and Tuapiki. Tuapiki's absolutely played his way into that fullback role and has been really good when he has been. So I really like that. Safe is probably a safe way to call it. There has been a few things that they've had to make. Like this week, they've had to make some serious changes, like the Egan concussion, which pulls in is it Healy? Sorry, to play. But like that's a must have, and that's a huge amount of experience. So I see why CNK's still sitting at fullback. I see why Capewell's still sitting at centre. To then add that CHT has been, Harris Tavita has been awesome this year. He's been fantastic. Probably one of the most improved players this year. It should be in that list of most improved. He's out with his calf injury, which has put and this guy coming in to replace him is no scrub, but he's still also young, and that's Tamari Martin. So it has come through. So I understand the safe plays this week because they've had so many issues. And I forgot the biggest one, and you called it too. James Fitzharris is out as well, and who's replaced him is Val Munga, and Val Munga's actually got a good future. He's just very young as well. So I see what you're saying in terms of it is a bit safe. I think this week he has to because of the outs. Like that's 3 really big outs. So I don't have too much of a problem, but when those guys are back, I think he needs to make some serious moves.
My only problem with that is that against the Dolphins this week, we all know now they're not going to win this game 8 points to 6. I reckon the Dolphins are going to score at a minimum 20 points at a minimum. So I look at their lineup. I look at the lineup at the moment, and I actually can't see the Warriors scoring 20 points at this present point. So I just felt like And I reckon over the last 18 months, some of their best performances have been when they've given their youngsters a go and they've just thrown them in the deep end and gone sink or swim. And they do more than swim. They freestyle. They turn into Ian Thorpe. So I just feel like I get this week because obviously some of the other injuries, the way things happen. But I'd probably argue then that's even more reason why I'd probably put Capewell closer in as a forward this week to make sure there's that bit of experience around and to calm things down when they need it. I don't know if him being at center will help him too much at all. That's just my personal
Capewell needs some kudos. He played himself in. He went to the centers. Hasn't been there for a while, and played himself into Origin form. So and got picked for Origin
back row.
And was very good in Origin. So, but yes, he played himself in a form, but didn't play in the centers. He went to the edge. So I don't mind. To be fair, Capewell's been pretty good. So he deserves a bit of kudos there and some props for what he's doing. But safe is the right call. I think it's a safe call. I think they're necessary to do stuff, but I also agree there needs to be some times. And you're right, you hit the nail on the head. Some of these games that they've been really good has been on the back of Tuapiki playing at fullback and things like that. But C&K wasn't playing. Tuapiki's been at fullback to replace C&K. So, and then I don't really like Tuapiki coming off the bench. So he's been named on the bench, and I don't like that. So, I mean, there's a few odd things, but I see where it is and why.
The other big one they're being critical of, and I actually, even though I love him, he's a bit of a friend of the page. I will have to call a spade, unfortunately. DWZ, Dallin, Watene Zelezniak, has been in very poor form. For his standards of what we're used to, he has not been anywhere near half of the play that we're used to him being. So there's plenty of talk out there as well about dropping him and making people accountable. It just seems like there's a bit of a boys' club there at present state, and certain players who probably should be getting dropped, especially while the New South Wales Cup side is killing it. I think they're 14 in a row now, which is something ridiculous. And they're just not getting any really goes and starts. Is a bit disappointing. Moving on though, a side that obviously on the weekend had a really poor result. Very keen to see if we've got any of the Manly fans in tonight in the house, because we are quickly going to talk about you guys. I agree, Chris. Tuapiki at fullback or not at all. I absolutely agree with that one. Tommy Turbo, I have noticed over the last few weeks, even with their wins, Trav, that he has started to get back to, I'm not going to say the Tommy of old, but looking a lot better than he has over the past 12 or so months. He's actually looked really good. On the weekend, he got a bit of a bath from Bronson Sherry, understood.
Just a minor one.
Just a minor one. Got burnt a couple of times. They've got to turn the cold water tap on. It was just pure hot. Jumped in and just got absolutely burnt several occasions. So it's just when I've watched the Manly Seagulls play over the last couple of weeks, he's been roaming galore, and they've looked their most dangerous when he's popped up in positions not at his center role. So I'm starting to question, and the question I'm going to pose to you is it now time to flick the switch and put Turbo back to fullback?
Yes. I'm adamant about this. I think Manly, for them to win games in 2025 and go particularly anywhere in finals, it's got to be Turbo at fullback. It has to be, and that's no negative or no qualm on Lehigh Hopewadi, but I don't think he's been overly great. I don't think he's been overly great at fullback, particularly when it's been against tough competition. In the tough games, Lehigh Hopewadi hasn't been superior. Lehigh Hopewadi has chewed up some teams that are under them. So I think if they're going to make it further and go anywhere, Turbo has to be at fullback, and he's shown that he is being a fullback. He's just doing it in centers. The problem that I don't like with Turbo is that Turbo's defensive deficiencies is on show. And Bronson Cherry's a very good center, but he's not the best center in the competition, and it's only going to get tougher for him as we move forward. Not so much this week. He's got Billy Smith and Toya. Toya's pretty good, but I don't think Billy Smith's going to really do too much. What is he? He's on Billy Smith's edge, so I don't think he's going to have too many issues there. But yeah, I just think defensively he's been shown and exposed, and that's why I'll be putting him fullback, because he doesn't have to do that defense. I think Lehigh to the wing, Garrick into the centers, and I think Manly is set and sweet for this year.
I actually feel like I think you've been a bit kind on Lehigh. I actually go out and say he's been really poor at fullback since he's gone there over the last month of football. I was so high on him. I was really keen to watch him play. I got him into my Supercoach team and everything. Have since traded him out. I was very disappointed by what I saw, but at the same time, I sort of just feel like I think he's a brilliant long-term future fullback for Manly. Don't get me wrong, but I think what I look at and remember last year, we've seen Walsh fall to pieces after that massive hit by Suaalii in Origin, and fair enough, he got absolutely whacked, and I think we underestimate how long it takes sometimes to come back from those big head knocks. Don't forget at Newcastle, Lehigh got the same thing. He got a pretty big whack on his melon and was obviously out for the week after that, and then wasn't able to. He hasn't quite been the same player since then, and I'm wondering if that's got some flow-on effects. What happened there? And not saying he's shying away from anything. I think he's still in there doing what he can do the most, but he just doesn't seem to quite be there. If you know what I'm trying to say, so. I feel like just putting him back to the wing for a while, let him get his confidence back up, isn't a bad thing for Manly. Like, I just think the fact that Turbo's still doing so much, like first of all, what I thought the whole idea of putting Turbo to center was to reduce his workload, to reduce the fact that he doesn't have to be on his legs as much. But all he's doing at the moment is making more tackles, and then he's also doing all the kilometers anyway because he's going all over the park. So you may as well take the defensive load off him again and just put him back to fullback and go back to, like you said, Trav, that back line of how you'd pair it up. So interesting times ahead. I think that's probably Seibold's big downfall at the moment. I feel like he's been very slow on reacting to things. I think the two easy wins that they got against some poor opposition over those last couple of weeks has sort of tapered over what a lot of us were talking about before all that happened. And he sort of rode off that a little bit. I think the Dogs have really shaken him up on the weekend, and they came up against a really good side, and it only took them one half of football. It wasn't even two halves. Absolutely destroyed them. So interesting to see and eager to see what happens from this week. Sam, sorry, you're right, but defense isn't the problem. It's been the kilometers. He's still doing less, even though more than the average center. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I just feel like he's still doing a lot of kilometers. You may as well eat fullback. He's not going to be doing too much more than I feel like what he's already doing. He's sort of playing that second fullback role. If anything, probably doing more than what Lehigh's doing.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's where you're getting true value for Turbo.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you're actually getting your true Turbo value by having him do that in the centers. Put him back to fullback, and now you're going to get that. But you'll also get more now. He's not trying to make his way back to his edge each time he goes for a run or goes like that. You've just got now you've got him at fullback. He can literally roam and go wherever, and then he can just follow the ball and defend that way. You're not getting the value for what you're getting off Turbo, particularly when he has to turn his back to the play so often to get back to his spot. So. Yeah, for them to go further, that's where they've got to go, and he needs to be returned. I think he needs to be put back to fullback now. It's got to happen. It's
a massive game this weekend. We'll talk about it shortly, but that is a huge game. Both sides just outside the 8. both hoping to be in the 8. And I think whoever loses this could go a long way of losing their hopes of playing finals football. South Sydney, a very interesting team to talk about. They've been on the radar now for a few weeks, and things don't seem to be getting any better as weeks go on. If anything, it gets worse. They lose another player here and then lose another player there. It's just been the story of their season. Trav, I want to know where you're at the moment with South Sydney, because we've heard some rumours. I think they're starting to come out a bit more now about some of the strength and conditioning and things like that at the club that's been well below par now for a while now. I put a post out the other day which suggested is Wayne Bennett in a bit of free fall in terms of doesn't quite have what Wayne Bennett used to have. He's still a fantastic coach, and he'll go down as, in my opinion, probably the best coach to ever do it. But there's also an expiry date on everyone. That's just the reality of things. And yep, they've had a horrible, horrible injury run. But again, like we've spoken about, there's been some talk about some of the coaching staff. And again, Wayne's in charge of all that. Wayne's in charge of who he puts there and retention and recruitment and just key decisions like Cody Walker. I'll say it now, and it's a big call, but I wouldn't be re-signing Cody Walker. I think it's a good chance now to keep a bit more money in the bank. They've still got to work out what to do with Lewis Dodd, which has just been an absolute, I almost said that, drop the F-bomb, but it's been an absolute F up. Like, if we're going to be brutally honest, if that was most other clubs in the NRL that weren't being coached by Wayne Bennett at the moment, so getting protected, the scrutiny that they'd be under for that signing would be immense. Like, it's just been $750K or whatever it is, just below that, of wasted money, where they could easily be spending that elsewhere and improving that side for this year moving forward. Like, the rumors are, sorry, Lewis Dunn. The rumors are that they had a chance to get AFB, but because they've already signed Lewis Dunn this year, they missed out on him. AFB exactly the player that they need at the moment in that club. Like, they just need that extra bit of forward power, and they missed out on getting that because they went and signed this guy that was playing reserve grade for the Super League, yet not much has been spoken about because Wayne protects it. I don't agree with it, Trevor. I think this club deserves to be under a lot of scrutiny at the moment, because from literally the top down, I think there's been a lot of personnel at that club that have been failing in their jobs for a while now.
I'm not sure Wayne's protecting the Lewis Dodd stuff because he's not playing him. I think Wayne's putting his point across as saying, who the hell signed this guy and didn't talk to me about it? We all know I was involved at this club for at least half the year last year, although I wasn't coaching, but I was still here. I don't put the blame on Wayne Bennett. Actually, I'm not going to put the blame on Wayne Bennett at all right now because it's only his first year back. I think... And people correct me if I'm wrong, and I'd actually really like to know if this is correct or the finer details of it. But I'm pretty sure the sports and conditioning side of things and the fitness and the doctors and all that are all actually people from hangovers. They're all people. So he didn't stop. Like, none of that is actually his crew. So I'm not going to put any of that onto him. There are 15 out for injury this year.
Just quickly on that, there's a lot of times where you'll see coaches come in and they clean house. Like Riles sort of did it at Parramatta this year. And there's been a number of coaches, they'll come in and they get their own assistant coaches, strength and conditioning. They get it all because they know who they want to work with, and they go from there. So, and I know Wayne Bennett has obviously had his sort of same team for a long time now. I believe he did the Dolphins a good thing and left a few people there as a gesture of sort of goodwill. But he would have had his say, and if he wanted anyone gone from that organization, they'd be gone.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, absolutely. But they've stayed. So I'll see and rate those decisions next year in 2026. I'm not going to hold much accountability on Wayne for some of that. They have the worst by far injury toll or injury record this year. And as rugby league history has come through, g'day buddy, has said the exact same thing as what they were last year. Like, of those injury tolls, it's not just no-namers. Like, it's Brendan Smith. Cam Murray hasn't played a game. Campbell Graham's missed most of the year. Cody Walker, Mawali would be playing. Humphreys has missed years back, but has missed a lot of the years. Sullivan's been, has the potential there. Kulamatang is a freak. Latrell Mitchell. Ravalawa got pushed out to the wing. Mamazelis was their starting halfback and what they wanted at their halfback. These are very key players, right? That takes a toll. So I don't put the blame on Wayne Bennett right now, and I'm not going to. I will next year, though. Unfortunately, it's just that they've just been absolutely dominated by injuries, and it sucks. But what this should do is go back to the organization and the management of everybody, and on a very big review, go, what's been wrong? Our injuries, what's happened? It's been happening mostly in training times, at training, not in games. Most of it's been through training. What are we doing wrong? Well, clearly our fitness people and our doctors are not the right people. We've got to make some serious changes.
That's sort of where I lean more towards it, because I sort of see that injury toll is big, but there's been 3 or 4 of those that have been done at training. So that speaks for itself, and I question what they're actually doing there. And obviously the head coach is over everything, so I just question that. One other final thing I want to question there on Wayne, and I'd love to know what you think about this, because it doesn't sit quite well with me. He was going quite hard for that Australian job at the end of the year. He wanted it. Going off the year that South have just had, I'm shocked at that, because I thought he would want to be at South basically almost 24/7, fixing the mess up and building for next year.
Man,
were you a bit shocked? Yeah, were you a bit shocked how hard he actually wanted that Australian jersey? Not jersey, shocked. But coaching hat.
No, I'm not shocked, because it's Wayne Bennett, and I don't think he gives a damn. So I'm not actually shocked. And to be fair, as an Australian supporter, obviously, I would have liked him to have been the coach, but it would definitely have been at the detriment to the South Sydney Rabbitohs. And I think the South Sydney Rabbitohs and him should be
hate that.
Yeah. And so in the South Sydney Rabbitohs should be sitting there thinking, hang on, my coach doesn't want to be there the whole time. Isn't it in Wayne's contract? Hasn't that clause been in Wayne's contract for years? It was like that at the Dolphins. I think it was even before then.
So.
Yeah.
I think so, but it's obviously gets pointed out a lot more because South Sydney is struggling. It's just sort of, and hopefully he might have a change of heart. He might say after this year that I do need to come back early, make sure things are set up, overlook what is happening with our preseason training and programs and things like that, because he's obviously, as I said, he's worked with the similar team for so long now. He's left a few of those behind up in Brisbane and that still. But, yeah, it's just very interesting to see what does happen outside of that club at the moment, because there's a lot of key decisions still to be made over the next few months that will go a long way of them. And I was asked on 360 tonight, so I'll ask you, Trav, do you think they're a genuine contender next year if they can stay relatively healthy?
If they can stay healthy?
Yep.
Yes. Oh, no, not a genuine contender. I think they're finals bound. I think I picked them in the finals. I think I put them in the 8 this year based off their team. Yeah, that quickly changed when Cam Murray got done before the first round. And then when all the other injuries happened by round 3 or 4, I was like, oh, damn it. But it is what it is. But no, I don't. They're not a genuine contender, but they're definitely a finals bound team if they have their whole team.
That's a big one, Diggsy. I do agree that we'll tackle that in our in-season reviews and previews, things like that. But I sort of am leaning that way. The more I watch Jai Gray play for this team and the amount of work he does, they need him at the back. And Trell's sort of speaking to me like sort of Turbo has with Manly. Just put him in centre, let him roam still if he feels like he wants to roam, but just save him that little bit. Like, just save his body from himself just that little bit. And it could do him the world of good. Like, the way I look at it, South Sydney need Latrell on the field more than obviously he's off the field. And the best way to do that, I feel like, is at centre. He's still going to be on the field majority of the season there. And he's shown in Origin times, like this year wasn't his best series, but in the past, he can be a very good centre in this competition. And all he needs is consistent football. He's been a victim of not getting that consistent football, I feel like, for a number of years now. So take a step back, swallow the pride if that's what it has to do. Let Gray do what he does. He does it so well. And there's no one saying that can't swap over throughout games moving forward into next year.
Yeah, I agree. I've said it all along. Like, he's probably the best center that we've got in the game, and he hasn't even played as a center probably enough to really say that. I agree. I just don't think Latrell wants to do that. He wants to be fullback. So I don't think that's going to be an option. Did you happen to hear Rothfield's take on Adam Reynolds and what it is? Have you seen any of that?
I've heard a podcast was on yesterday and they were discussing a few little things. Are you talking about the fallout from Reynolds and all that decision and how it's affected South Sydney?
Isn't that a very interesting article and some really big reading around it? Because those people that made that call on Adam Reynolds are still there. Those people that made that call on Adam Reynolds said he's only got a year left in his body. And have a look at him going now, and now have a look at all of that call, and then look at what is happening to the Rabbitohs. And it's those same people were making those calls. So I think some serious conversation needs to be had with their high performance fitness and sports people and doctors, because that is damning, and that's come back to absolutely bite them on the ass.
Yeah, no, I agree. You need a butter menthol, Trav. Yeah, he's been on him.
So bloody many. And all my
just
different
quickly,
medications and things.
Just Adam before when he asked about the question about the two players, Campbell Graham and Jack Whiten. Interesting decision and something that they have to decide next year. But for mine, I think Latrell walks into whatever position he gets put into, and then you field the team around him. Like Campbell Graham's had a bit of time on the wing over his career, so that's not out of the equation yet. He's been a very good centre, but again, he's someone that just needs to stay on the field at the moment and just get his body right. And if that means going out to wing for a while, getting some confidence back, but then you got Munro, then you got Johnston. Like there's a big bit to put together there, but at the same time, I look at South and I go, you just want to put your strongest team together, and then the rest. Like I've heard Matthew Johns talk repeatedly about the fact that Whiten could be a really good forward as he's getting towards the end of his career, being around that lock sort of figure, and who knows what happens. But that's Wayne. That's what Wayne's got. That's his job. That's why he gets paid the big bucks, not us.
Yeah, exactly right. Hey, and just quickly, Cameron, Reynolds has actually played 74 games in this period of 4 years. He's played 20 more than Latrell, and actually has played the same amount as Cody Walker. So as relevant as he's trying to say as a fairish call, he hasn't actually missed a lot of footy. He's played just as much as, if not more than most of the Rabbitohs guys, and yet he was called. He wouldn't be there for 12 months. His body will break down. But have a look at what he's done over the period of 4 years since going there. The point of that, though, is that it's not just him and that call. We can see that that's a bad call. It's those same people are now making these calls for the rest of their roster, and have a look at the last couple of years. We could even go back 3 years. It's probably been the worst injury list of the last 3 years. And they're the ones making that call.
Yeah, I'm actually would like to go back, and I might do this over the next day or two, and look and see who's played more footy since Reynolds has left between Adam Reynolds and Cody Walker. I'd be very interested to see that stat.
I think it's the same. No, Cody Walker's played one more game.
Wow. Well, that'll change obviously the next couple of weeks as well, because Walker's not playing and Adam Reynolds is. So that will drastically. And I just feel like at the end of the day, Adam Reynolds was South Sydney through and through. It was a wrong decision. I think that's clear to everyone or most people these days. And I think that's where we can end that. Just now, over to your club, Trav, the Melbourne Storm. I know you love your clauses. You don't like to believe them, but this one has come out now. His manager has confirmed it as well. Jonah Pezzett has a get-out clause now that Jerome Hughes, there's dust to settle on the celebrations. I love the little profile picture change that Melbourne did yesterday, little headgear, things like that. So the dust is settled. Now, like the media are very good at, now we start to ramp up with what some of the stories are to flow on from that. And one of those is this young gun that's been there for so long now that he's just screaming to get a go. Jonah Pezzett, get out clause has been activated. As of right now, he's able to talk to clubs for as early as next year to go there. I heard Bray talk about this on Monday, I think it was, and he mentioned that, last night, I think it was. He did mention that, and I was very curious about the wording he chose. He basically just said straight away, he goes, "Yep, look, the time has come where Pezzett wants to be a week in, week out half bloke. Like, he wants to be in the halves week in, week out. He can't keep just sitting around being that guy that just waiting for a chance. And I felt that's the biggest indication yet that he won't just be fielding offers. There is a genuine concern here from the Storm's point of view that this will be the last year with Jonah Pezzett in their ranks, and that's a big gap in when it comes to your depth moving forward, because he's been so good to have there. So good.
Yeah, but he hasn't played either. So he hasn't been so good. He's been injured for a lot of it. And we rate him very highly, and we know that he's got talent, and we know that he's got potential. He's 22 years old. He's not even into his body yet. He's not even into his role at all. But he hasn't played. So it's not such a big deal, if that makes sense. And then, to be fair, is he playing in front of Hughes and is he playing in front of Munster? Only if injuries happen. So, yeah, it's one of those things where it's and it happens to us a fair bit, is that and it's the same as what we're talking about before with Chevy Stewart, right? And we're talking around how good his talent is, but it's not, unfortunately there's someone in front of him. It's the same as, and Para have reaped the benefits of Isaiah Oyongi because of what happened at Penrith, because there was someone in front of him. Like, these guys are great, but unfortunately there's people in front of him. And so there has to be sacrifices made. So it is what it is. Like, Chris has come in and said that Wishart's been great. I absolutely agree. And Wishart's the best 14 in the competition. And Wishart's openly admitted that he loves being that go-to 14 and will jump in when he needs to. He loves it. And he deserves a full-time role too, I think. That he's also showed that as long as you pay me some decent money, I'll play that role as a 14 and be very happy to do it. So, yeah, unfortunately, you can't keep everyone. It is what it is. I love that, and I laugh that every time someone comes up with just an ounce of talent, it's Para jumped in and ready to go. Like, it's just Para linked to everybody. So it's so interesting to see where he gets to and what happens. He's a halfback. You have Moses. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like that pairing. I don't want Moses. I wouldn't be putting Moses as a full-time 5'8" to put Pezzett at halfback. Pezzett is a game managing halfback. He's not a super attacking player. He's a manager, and he's good at it. And he's got a brain in his head, and that's why he's in the box all the time, because he's just got such a good IQ and a brain in his head. You don't want him at 5'8" in the Para. A team that needs him, there's plenty. There's lots of teams out there that don't have a game managing halfback. There are lots of teams. Titans should open the playbook and put him at the 7.
I was about to say the Titans should be throwing stupid money at him. That should just be an absolute must signing. If I was the Titans, I would have gone in a meeting today and gone, guys, what do we got available in our cap right now? If it's 700, 800,
because the only way we're going to get him is to pay him, because otherwise he's going to and be like, and Braith will turn around and say, oh man, don't go there, because that's the Titans. They need to sort this shit out before I go anywhere. But before you go there, but hang on a second, they're going to give you $800K. Ooh, that's money I don't want to blink. I can't knock that money back. So yeah, I think the Titans should be locking that money away. I think he would I actually think he would fit perfectly at the Knights, but the Knights have to make some big calls. And that would surround Ponga. I'd be putting Fletcher Sharp to fullback and having the pairing of Pezzett and Brown. I think Pezzett would do really nicely at the Knights. There's just so many teams that could absolutely love a game managing Pezzett. It's a very intriguing position that everyone's in.
Just on that Chris one with the Dragons link, Dragons could use him. I doubt after what Braith has said.
Kyle Flanagan.
Recently, obviously in the last night as well, Ilias is managed by Braith Anasta, for those that weren't aware of it, and he's obviously been treated quite poorly by the club. Braith came out and said as much and was pretty boisterous in that, and the most honest he's been about the situation last night. Clearly that camp is not happy. I would be shocked if Braith basically takes his brightest young talent under his books, Jonah Pezzett, and gives it to the Dragons as a gift. Like, I reckon Braith will probably make the Dragons' life at the moment not that great, not that easy. So I would be pretty much putting a big red cross through the Dragons' name. I don't think they'll be anywhere close to signing him. Unfortunately for Dragons fans, I think it'd be a great signing for your club and exactly what you need. But after how Shane has treated Ilias and a few others there and prioritised his son, I don't think that'll be happening anytime soon.
How good would that Dragons combination be in 2026 if the Dragons pull their freaking heads out of their asses and figure out what to do with the Flanagans and have a combination of Pezzett and Atkinson? Oh man.
Oh.
And the Storm ties, like just those two growing over the next few years, it'd just be a sight to behold. I'd love to watch that.
I'd show that potty out. I'd like to know. Was that today, Diggsy? He came out and said Shane must have called him, something like that. So I'll have to give that potty a little listen to tomorrow on the way to work. So that'd be good. Jace, what are your thoughts about the news?
How's Shane's form, if that's the truth? That's what garbage. Damn.
Why would you be grilling it like he's done it a few times this year. I remember a few media personalities have actually mentioned that and that they've received calls from Shane blowing up. So very interesting. Yeah. So what are your thoughts about the news that the Eels are signing a quality back rower? This is from Buzz, by the way. Or should I say Phil Rothfield? Not at nickname basis with Buzz, unfortunately. Who could it be? Hopefully Keon. Well, I've heard Keon's obviously November guy because he's up out of contract at the end of next year. So that would be a huge, huge play. I just don't have any faith in it being Keon or a player of that caliber. I've got to be a bit more realistic. I actually would have loved to have seen Fermor. I would have absolutely loved that, but that didn't happen. The club's come out today, I think, denied any links with Fermor. I would have loved that to be the guy that they're going after. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know because it feels like it's probably Garner, but then the Penrith Panthers came out adamantly the other week and said, no, we're not letting him go anymore. So who knows who it is? There's sometimes but he'll be going to the Bears, they reckon, because he's got family ties to Perth. So apparently his partner has a lot of family in Perth and actually want to go back over there. So great chance for him to go over to Perth one more year with the Panthers. Probably win another 2 comps while he's there, and then off he goes to Perth. Interesting to see what happens, but we'll go. One more question on the Storm, actually, Trevor. I'll just stick with the Storm. We've already touched on JC earlier, so I don't need to go back there, but the Cameron Munster news, I find that very fascinating at the moment. That the Bears are quite heavily linked, and there's a bit of up in the air. There's some fans interacting about it. Some seem to have been like, you know what, if it's time that it has come, time has come. Where do you stand on it all? Obviously, Munster's a huge part of your team. We're very big on Munster and the way he's going to play for the rest of this year as well, being so critical for your premiership aspirations this year. What are your thoughts? The Bears come knocking. Wow.
Yeah.
Would you keep Pezzett over Munster?
As of if Pezzett was happy to hang till 2028, yeah, I would. Which wouldn't happen.
I reckon Munster has to go early. That's the thing. I reckon Bears will want him for the inaugural year.
Which is
I can't see that. Nah, 27.
Oh, it was a 27, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and the Bears would have to have him, which would make him 30. He turns 33 that year. He turns 31 this year, so he's 33 that year. Still got 1 or 2 like really good years in him. I'd love to have him for the next 4 of those good years. It's Cam Munster. I also don't like, and I've been very open, like, and hold no one to any like ill hate at all for taking the money. If a player is offered the money if a club offers a player the money, whether I think it's right or wrong or value or not, if you're offered it, take it. I don't ever hold any issues to players doing that. That's on the clubs to do that. Cam Munster's in a very different position because he'll be doing it in his like mid-30s by that point. What a pretty good way to go and finish your career on big money, go and set up a club and off you go. I wouldn't hate him for it. I wouldn't like it, but he has openly, like, he was not going to go to the Dolphins and said he wanted to be a one club player. And that's what he said. Like, I do not want to be a one club player. And he was, I only want to be a one club player. Sorry. And I'm not going to take that big money. Money is not my be all and end all. And he didn't go to the Dolphins, and the Dolphins had Wayne Bennett and blah, blah, blah. So I think the Dolphins were in a much better position than what they are over in Perth. And it's a much more enticing position than it is to go over to Perth. Yeah. So I don't hold it. I don't have issues with him going. I don't mind if he does. I would love to keep him at the Storm. I don't think he goes, though, just from what I've heard, what I've read. I heard Cam Smith on 100% Footy the other day say no, and that he's still very close to him and has had plenty of conversations with him. So it's all very interesting.
I'd actually, from a rugby league point of view, I would love to see him go to the Dolphins for a couple of years. If he used to go to somewhere, I actually would love to see that. Him partnering with Katoa just for a couple of years. I think all of a sudden, like with the side that the Dolphins are building and they've got there for a couple of years now, they could really lead the Dolphins into their maiden premiership. Like that would be a remarkable half pairing to go for a couple of years. Like I think by then Munster will probably have 2 years maxing in. Like his body has been through a fair bit. So I don't think he'll be going for too much longer. I don't think he'll be one of those guys that retires at 38 or something. Like he'll probably go till he's 34, 35. So if he was to go anywhere, I would actually like to see it to the Dolphins. But
I don't think he goes. I don't think if he goes anywhere, he goes to Perth. He's not going to go to any other club. He's going to stay at the Storm or he goes to Perth. And I just don't think he goes to Perth, my personal gut feeling. And I don't. And there's a part of me in there that says, well, I'm a Storm fan. I don't want him to go. So there's like hope in that. I don't think he goes. But I think actually I legitimately, from what I have heard him say in the past, from what I've heard his partner Bianca say, from what I've heard friends of his like Cam Smith and things say in the media and that, like it sounds to me like he really does value that one club. I want to be at the Storm. This is where I'm going to be kind of thing. But I also wouldn't hold it to him if that opinion changes and he goes and chases 1.5. I think there's talk to $2 million as well. So anywhere between that 1.5 to $2 million range, it wouldn't like, that's just money that like, that's more money than will make in 10 years, like as a teacher. So like it just, to me, that sets you up. That money sets him up for life. He's not going to get that at Storm because we have lots to pay. So we have a whole club that we've got to pay. Yeah.
You're still paying off boats from 09, aren't you?
Yeah. So is Para. And I openly admitted to it the other day.
I had to say something. I had to get something in there. Look, let's go and shout out to NRLW this week and have their Magic Round. So the first NRLW Magic Round up at Newcastle. So Saturday and the Sunday, 3 games on each day, all being televised.
And Munster was born in Rockhampton too, by the way.
Rocky, yeah. That's why I actually had just the Dolphins in mind. Might go up, back up there, up that way, or starting to go up that way, but we'll go from there. Yeah, shout out to the NRLW. That'll be an awesome event. Obviously, those that are going, please enjoy. Send us a few pictures, things like that. If you are going, I'd love to see the atmosphere, what it's building, what it's like. Let us know what both days are like. Fingers crossed the weather. I think in Sydney at the moment has been a little bit dodgy. There's rumours it could be a little bit wet over the weekend, but hopefully it's not. And it's a great couple of days out to watch some fantastic NRLW footy. Now our tips for the NRL games. First game tomorrow night. One of the League of Inches Cups. We haven't had one for a while. Eels versus the Melbourne Storm at CommBank Stadium. Trav, here you go.
I can't. I'm actually unprepared because I thought we were going to go talk about something else.
Yeah, no, we're going over time, so I've decided we did touch on JC slightly, but I'll go away from there now.
Right. Can you ask the question again? Sorry, I was like going in between. I used that segue to go in between my notes and stuff, and I missed what you said. Sorry.
Para versus the Storm, CommBank Stadium.
Tips. I've got the Storm. Jeez, it's scary, but watching what Para did to the Broncos last week, that's scary. But hey, and no Hughes, but yeah, I've got the Storm. I just don't know if I can deal with Joel and the garbage I could get if Para win.
Go the Eels. Go the Eels. Pump up, boys. Pump up.
Put that in paper in writing and when you do your tips tomorrow.
Warriors versus.
Hey, Jake, you're listening. Do your tips, bro.
Oh yeah, no, he'll come up and excuse he's too busy.
I forgot.
Oh, guys, we could tell you a story about that, but we won't. We won't embarrass him. He won't come back. Warriors versus the Dolphins. Trav.
I've got the Dolphins. There's a lot
Yeah, I've
coming
got the
back into
Dolphins
that
as
team.
well. I've the couple out for the Warriors and Dolphins working
It's
their way
hard,
towards their first finals appearance. I think the Dolphins have a lot to
it's
play for.
hard to say against the Wars, 2 games in New Zealand in a row, 2 potential losses. Like it's hard to do that. But yeah, I've got the Dolphins. Nicarima back, Kafusi back, Nichols back. Damn, the Dolphins are starting to look much better.
They certainly are. Broncos against the Bunnies. The Bunnies are
Broncos.
$6.05. Wow, yeah, I got the Broncos. Broncos with. Do you reckon, I reckon Broncos with ease in this one. I reckon South Sydney had their big game last week. This week they won't be as up. They'll sort of just. It'll be a smashing.
The White suspension is just the final sort of straw.
They're done and dusted. Just go on holiday now. Just leave. Just go for the rest of the year and say we'll come back next year. We've had enough.
And
Titans,
they dropped Dodd.
Yeah, fine. They lost their. They've got no halves left. They'll be bloody. Call back Dave Taylor. Let him come back and play 5-8 for the game. Titans versus the Penrith Panthers, 3 p.m. on Saturday. Ooh, wouldn't mind watching the Penrith Panthers live, but anyway, Trav.
Yeah, I got the Panthers, but if the Titans can turn up like they did against the Wars, they can make a game of this.
Yes. I just think the Penrith Panthers are too much form at the moment. 13 plus for sure. Dragons against the Raiders. Yeah, I got the Raiders. The Dragons have 10 players out at the moment. They are on their last legs at the moment. So very tough end of season coming up for the Dragons. I am predicting Manly against the Roosters. I am very much looking forward to this game Saturday night. As I said, huge implementations for the top 8 for both sides. I think the one that does lose this game. Sorry, I can't even speak for the rest of the night here. I've bit my tongue about 4 times tonight. I don't know what the hell's going on, but we've had lisps at the start. Now I've had someone biting their tongue. Manly, Trav, who you got? This is so tough.
Are you waiting for me so that you can figure it out yourself? I don't want to tip Manly because I just don't like what I saw last week. But I'm also they're at home and they're a different beast at 4 Pines. So I'm going to go Manly at this point. But this could be very much, unfortunately, it doesn't work in the community post. But this could be very much one I change just before the game as I watch the previews. But Manly at this point.
Yeah, I was so disappointed with what I saw from Manly on the weekend. It made me go back to how they were playing before those couple of easy sides came along. Oh, Manly at home, just. The Lockie Galvin.
I wouldn't be putting them in my multi. Let's put it that way.
No, not at all. I'll be steering clear of that game for sure. The Tigers versus the Dogs. Galvin up against his old club for the first time. They'll be trying to take his head off. No doubt about that. CommBank Stadium, it will be probably 80% Dogs fans as well. They'll all travel and absolutely protect their man. But then that 20% Tigers fans will be booing the house down every time Galvin is near the ball. Trav, any upsets here?
Luai said that he tried his best to develop Galvin as well. How was that for a comment? Look, I didn't read the article, so it might have been thrown out of context as Fox Sports love to do, or as Fox love to do. But I thought that was a very interesting context. There's going to be some serious heat in this game, but the Bulldogs, I think, comfortably.
Last one, Sharkies versus the Cowboys. Now, I actually think this will be a lot closer than the odds are saying at the moment. Like, odds are not trying to shout out to any gambling, but what I'm seeing here in the company, $1.39 to $3.01, I think it's a lot closer than what I saw from the Sharks on the weekend. Sorry to Chris, by the way, who is in the comments. I was just very disappointed by the Sharkies on the weekend. It was back to their very up and down form, and unfortunately we got it down from there. Nikora is huge back, so is Talakai. So I am tipping the Sharkies to win this one, but I think it will be a high-scoring, close affair. If that makes sense. Like a 30-26 or something.
Nikora back, Talakai back. I think Hiroti and Stone Street are on the bench. Hazelton is a big return as well, but he's been named to the bench. I'd actually be very surprised if Hazelton doesn't get switched in and comes through. But the Sharks are starting to get healthy. this is definitely not a snooze fest game. This is going to be an attacking, zero defense game, as the Cowboys love to do, which is a whole nother talking point that Todd Payton's been able to get away with that for the last 4 years. But anyways, this game will have zero defense. It will be a high-scoring powerhouse, and it'll be entirely entertaining. But I got the Sharks.
A fantastic game to put a few anytime try scorer bets on. So
Anytime,
little shout out,
total points, and
little shout out to our Legends group. We do have a betting chat now in there, and we've been very good so far. The first 2 weeks we've had it very much in the green so far. So obviously gamble responsibly, but go into that chat. It's $2.99 per month to join this, and there's no contracts, nothing like that. And I'll just let you know now, if you were in our group so far the first 2 weeks, it's been paid for well over a year now if you were in there in terms of what we've won so far in betting. So it's been a great little start to that. Shout out to James as one of them who's been big on there, and he's been doing some really good bets as well. But that's it. That's all we've got time for. So shout out to our producer, Tanya, who's been lighting up the comments for us all night. Very much appreciated. Thanks to Lispy. Thanks to Isaac. Make sure you go and give him a follow on Instagram. That was hilarious. If you did miss it, go watch the start of the show. Here is a couple of rumors and things like that for us. Bit of inside word. Dragons and the Raiders in the limelight there, and his list was hilarious. It was very hard to get through that without laughing my head off. Trav, thank you, mate. Another big week done and dusted. We get one more week closer to finals football. How good. A good night to everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being part of the show, being involved. And we will speak to you all and see you all some point next week. Goodbye.